Look, it's a flood.
It's flood.
It's flooding.
Get away.
Quick, we need to get to higher ground.
Open the floodgates.
But yeah, those two song transitions now make me want to, like, make a playlist trying to nail perfect transitions.
Isn't that like every DJ's like dream? Is the perfect transition?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Spotify there gave me one. From Behind Blue Eyes to Pinball Wizard by The Who with a 12-second crossfade is legit, like, the perfect transition.
That shit was pretty, goddamn, what the fuck was the word I was looking for?
Smooth?
No, not, like, well, cohesive.
It's something more, like, uplifting.
It was very fluid, right? Like, it felt like...
It felt like that's the way it should have been listened to.
Yes. Natural. One might say. It felt very... Oh, wait. Better. I didn't realize that. Now I can see us in the camera.
Oh, wow.
With the...
Oh my god, it's like going to the barbershop and they hold the mirror in front of you?
Big brain shit.
Yup.
Unintentional big brain shit.
Hey. Happy accidents, penicillin, and the chocolate chip cookie.
Ooh. Anesthetic, right? Like, anesthesia? Or whatever the fuck
Oh,
it is.
yeah.
The shit, yeah.
Somebody told me what that actually is recently, and my mind is blown. It's like basically putting the body as close to death as possible.
Yes. Yes. That is why anesthesiologists get paid so much fucking money, right? Because they are literally, like, playing the fucking violin with your life, right? Like...
They're bringing you as close to death as possible, and then you rise up!
And crash through. And crash through.
And crash through!
This is Doc.
And Ziggy.
With the flood.
And Doc, what do?
We make the mainstream make sense.
By putting the culture in context.
With that pop perspective. You already know. What's good, dog?
Yeah, I had, like, Wendell and I at work, we got the schedule yesterday and we were a little, miffed. I had one of my shifts taken off, and I had a lot of my shifts go from, like, 3 to 8 to, like, 5 to 8, and we hired a bunch of people, and Wendell and I actually realized we think we might have hired one too many person.
And so now y'all slowly I got who to get the fuck rid of it.
I got the email from my boss, like, here's the new schedule, and I just emailed back, can I have my Thursday shift back? Damn.
Can I have some more, sir?
And Wendell and I are talking at work.
Have some more, sir?
And he emailed the boss and was like, why are you giving me all the newbies to close when I work with Dan all the time?
That does seem pretty risky, though, like getting newbies to close. I mean...
Got an email today with an updated schedule. I now have my Thursday and closing shifts back.
Well, it was only a matter of time before, you know, he realized that he might have fucked up.
At the pod shop. Fucked up down at that pod shop.
Oh, man. Before we get into some of our main topics, I got a couple of other people who fucked up this week.
We're gonna bring some history into context.
So what do you want to roll into first?
How about we start with this day in history 1 week from today.
This day in history 1 week from today.
Next Saturday night, we're sending you back to the future.
So the day that you will be listening to this, and I mean October 9th, let's go back in time.
Not today, October 3rd, which it is currently October
the day that we record.
But October 9th.
So we make it fresh for y'all.
Today.
We make it current for y'all.
Something, at least something will be current. Because by the time you listen to this, everything that we talk about this week is already a week old. And if we might be a little up on it.
And if we talk about something that's a week old for us, then we have to come out with it 2 weeks for you to later that you might have even forgot about, and that's where we have a turtle take.
And that's where it's like a confusing timeline shift. So just imagine that, like, this...
Just remember, technically this is the better timeline. This day in history 1 week from today. Now, we go real far back when we do these because, you know, something had a long-lasting effect. In 768, Charlemagne was named King of the Franks. The original Charlemagne, not the god.
Yeah, right, I was like, of the namesake Charlemagne?
Of, like, OG Charlemagne.
Yes. So, what happened today, this day in history? Or 1 week from today?
Charlemagne named King of the Franks. In 1000, Leif Erikson discovers Vinland in North America.
Vinland?
He landed somewhere up in northern Canada.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's somewhere in Canada.
But all those people are like, in 1942, Columbus committed genocide. And on the weapons of death, the Nina, Pinta, and Santa Maria
warships.
Leif Erikson was a happy Norwegian dude, didn't really mess with anybody, and was just like, hey, I did this 500 years before all y'all did.
So October 9th is...
October 9th!
Is Leif Erikson.
Yes.
Happy for all my SpongeBob heads out there. Happy Leif Erikson Day.
And like I said, some things have been going on for a long time. In 1290, King Edward I exiles the last 16,000 Jews from England.
Whew. Wow, what a turnaround there, right? We went from something, you know, kind of like monumental and like epic in the progression of the West to something extremely regressive and depressing.
And 400 years later is when Britain and France finally signs their treaty to stop shooting longbows across the English Channel.
No, instead they started shooting them in other places across the planet, right? It wasn't until like World War fucking I that fucking Britain and France stopped beefing with each other.
60-ish years into the future, with the third week in a row,
a three-peat. This is three-peat.
Yep. George Washington and French Rochambeau begin bombardment of Yorktown, the last battle of the Revolutionary War.
Damn.
So G-Wash, kind of important historical figure.
Kind of. George Washington is just kind of an important... I mean, if we're putting it in context, guys, I mean, this is a pod from America, founded by... Who? The Native Americans, duh.
Putting times in context.
Putting things in, as we do here.
All of the founding fathers are washed with the original sin of America of slavery, right?
Wait, when you mean washed, do you mean like...
They're all guilty of it.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say absolved, or...
No, like, they're all guilty of it, right?
Yes.
So...
Absolutely.
While George Washington did have slaves, and that was really shitty, he also is a fucking gangster.
I mean, he did... Well, one would say that you might have to be a bit of a gangster.
People would say legends about him where he would just go full charge into battle and he would walk away fully unscathed, but all over his jacket had bullet
holes and shit. Yeah, we've all heard the tall tales of George Washington. I mean, he really is an American like myth at this point. The image of George Washington, like I said, is way too mythologized at this point to even like begin to parse like the real impact that George Washington had on this actual film. Right? Some of the shit that they did though during the Revolutionary War looked pretty fucking epic, right? They were one of the first. This is like getting into like I guess one of the things that makes America so unique, or at least the founding of the United States of America.
Because it really is like an epic tale.
Yeah. I mean, the Netflix movie, he was kind of on point. How
America, the motion picture?
Impactful, yeah. How impactful like that shit was. Because they took on the biggest empire. Like, it was like kind of like Star Wars, right?
Yeah, no, it really is. Like, if you look at Star Wars, it pretty much is. Isn't it just a whole expansive metaphor for the American Revolution?
Well, I mean...
At least first, it makes total sense.
Star Wars is a total ripoff of Japanese film, but I can't remember the title of it at the moment, so this hot take is gonna seem kind of like...
No, I was actually reading something about that earlier this week for class, where Lucasfilm is pretty much just a taking a lot of...
I'm almost certain that they had to pay money to the dudes that like they ripped the storyline from. But don't quote me on that, allegedly. Right? Anyway, the whole point is America could be accused of plagiarizing its... I'm sorry, I had to stop. Because I was about to be like, America could be accused of plagiarizing its storyline from Star Wars, right? But then there's people who are listening whose heads would fucking explode. Like, is he being sarcastic? Yes, I was being sarcastic.
Next thing you know, Lucasfilm sues America. Alright, so in 1824, slavery was abolished in Costa Rica.
Hey, shout out to Costa Rica.
Being progressive.
I mean, in what year?
1824, so relatively speaking, progressive.
Relatively. I guess, compared to the rest of the island nations who... Anyway, okay, so...
In 1870, something that I think I was surprised to see that it took so long.
Oh.
Rome was incorporated into Italy by royal decree.
In 1870?
Meaning Rome wasn't considered part of Italy until 1870.
What the fuck was it?
Rome.
Just, oh wow. Till 1870? That seems pretty late. In
right?
context?
Like Vatican City was already implanted.
What's some other shit that was going on in 1870, right?
1870 Europe? Well, it's 40 years before World War I, so there's a lot of, it's like Napoleonic era. So it's kind of there's empires going...
So we're talking like the last remnants of like the Roman Catholic Church and all that shit. Like, or
of its fully dominant power, yeah.
The Roman Catholic Empire.
Napoleon conquesting all across Europe, or the like wake damage of that.
Interesting.
In 1905, the first World Series, New York Giants beat the Philadelphia Athletics.
Can we talk about how whack of a name the Philadelphia Athletics is? Like, as we're waiting for Washington, as the Washington
Then they moved to
Football
Kansas
Club.
City, and then eventually they have been in Oakland.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean... I'm not gonna pretend like I didn't know that was... But it's still like, okay, so can we talk about how whack of a name the Athletics is? Like, that's so generic. That sounds like a place that you would go to pick up discount sneakers.
But at this point, it's kind of like classic. It's like having the name Athletics is a sense of pride to a franchise that's been around for over 116 years.
That's fucking insane to think about the fact that baseball was around before tanks were.
Yeah. Baseball Hall of Fame is really cool.
It's also probably super expensive, right?
Yeah, like the museum part is huge. It's a really well done story, but you walk into the actual hall and it feels reverential.
Oh, so there's like an actual physical place you can go to, like so.
And you see all of the plaques on the wall, and when you walk right in, at the very front are the first 5, dead in center. Rogers Hornsby, Ty Cobb, Walter Johnson, Cy Young, and Babe Ruth. But yeah, they have like stories, things of media where baseball are depicted, all of the artifacts, and like artifacts from ones that are super old, and then like they'll have like the home run ball from Bonds breaking the world record for most home runs. I want to go to the Basketball Hall of Fame to see what that feels like, but I don't think it will have. I don't feel like the Basketball Hall of Fame has the level of like
prestige that the
like regal nature to it.
Yeah, when you walk in, you feel the history in the room.
Yeah. In 1926, NBC forms.
So, was NBC... So, I guess that would make NBC the oldest broadcasting channel in the United States. Then,
yep.
Right? Damn.
In 1941, FDR approves the Manhattan Project.
Look, so... arguably probably one of the reasons why nuclear energy is still looked at as such like a taboo thing, because we know what like actual nuclear fallout looks like.
And still looks like.
Thanks FDR, probably also one of the most progressive presidents that the United States has ever had.
Sorry, Japan.
Oh, God, yeah. It just made me think about all of that shit, right? Woo, boy. And it's extra... To put that in extra context, around that time, you think about what FDR was doing to Japanese Americans, and eventually what happened to Japan, right? While taking into context what Japan was doing to, like, the rest of continental Asia, and it's like, yikes.
Now, did you know that the atom bomb was the piece of technology developed during the war that led to the second most casualties in Japan? There's one that led to a higher amount of casualties.
Was it developed by America?
Yes. Napalm.
Shout out to America. Number one.
I can't remember the
fucking people.
Revisionist History did a series of 4 podcasts on him. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's like, if you look at the top 5 list of people responsible for the most deaths in the world, he's like number 4.
Wait, who?
The guy who invented napalm. And you know what's even wilder? He's even since now been honored by Japan with like their highest non-civilian honor.
Why do you know that? In like what context, right? Like,
because basically afterwards he helped try to build Japan. Even though he invented napalm and burned down, and the reason it worked is because napalm is a jelly that sticks to anything.
Yeah, and it continues.
And they have cities made of wood and
lots of Japanese architecture, right? Traditional Japanese architecture is like solid wood foundational building. Air Force generals Haywood Hansel, Curtis LeMay, and the birth of the napalm and the firebombing of Tokyo. Okay. Well, I mean, it did say it was a whole team, right?
Yeah.
So.
All right, next one. In 1966...
In 1966...
the Orioles sweep the Dodgers to win their first World Series in franchise history.
Damn, shout out to the O's. Woo! From today, they got their first, was it their first W?
1 week from today, like, a long time ago, was their first World Series run.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to the
In
first
1979, Howard Stern begins broadcasting.
Damn, 1 week from today, October. Wow. I mean, look, you came through with the whole list, right? That was a lot for the 1 week for today.
We have 2 more.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In 1986, Phantom of the Opera premieres in London.
Damn. So the first showing ever, the first production.
1986. And in 2017, Harvey Weinstein was fired.
Fired from... Oh, wow. Oh, that was the start of the Me Too. Damn. That one really, like... That last one really kind of made an impact because... Everything that's been going on since, like, 2011, it's been, like, it's a snowball effect, for lack of a better term, right? Like, it just feels like it just has been non-stop, like, since then. One big cultural defining impact after another. It just, like, we've been getting hit with, like, a meteor shower, right, of, like, cultural shifting moments in history. Like, 2012 was, like, the whole Trayvon Martin thing. And the whole Trayvon Martin thing.
Rest in peace, Trayvon Martin.
Rest in shit, George Zimmerman.
But yeah, you're right. I actually do like this segment a lot because look at things that are still relevant today. Like 1290, 1,600 Jews exiled from England. Jews have been getting persecuted a really long time.
I mean, just to put in context, especially when we're looking at a rise in the last couple of years in anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic acts, right? So putting that into context.
The George Washington story shows the mythology that people are willing to die on the hill of America.
In a redefining era, right, as far as what it means to be American and what the American culture consists of.
And it shows how long the lasting power of Rome really was for an empire that was over 2000 BC to not be declared part of Italy until 1870.
Right. And that hits me in the same way that it does when I remember that Germany itself is like a fairly young country. It's younger than America, right?
It was a bunch of warring states.
Yeah, Prussia.
Saxony. Also Prussia.
Also, yeah.
And just how old and legendary baseball really is. That it is, like, there's a reason it's called America's pastime, and it's because it's been around for over 150 years.
It's older than Germany.
Yeah. And just the power of nuclear energy and the Manhattan Project's everlasting effects.
And how we still can't recover from...
And to continue to prove that Uncle Ben was right. With great power comes great responsibility.
Damn. And on that note, we're gonna take a break. So, as we take note of some historical moments of impact, I would also like to take the time. You know, we like to take the time to give notice to people making an impact, you know, now.
In a positive way.
Of course, yes. Usually in a positive manner, right?
And everybody knows we're in a ring counting society. Some people can't get an actual ring.
Nobody likes trophies anymore, right? They're big, they're cumbersome, but you know what everybody does like to do? People like to flex. And one of the easiest ways to flex is to come through, bam, with the bangers, right?
It's like the iconic Jordan picture with him with all 6 rings, just
iced out, right? Fingers shining, like, you know, when I put them up, you know what it is.
So,
right?
Our championship rings of the week.
With 3 in the bottom of 9th inning to become the world champions yet again.
Anything's possible. Anything's possible!
Got a really big team, and they need some really big rings. They need some really nice things. Better be coming with no strings.
My championship ring is going to go to Assistant U.S. Attorney Nadia Shitata. She was the prosecutor who got R. Kelly.
Finally, they were able to convict him on decades of accusations, and I'd like to give, you know, a honorable championship ring to all of the witnesses who stepped forward. I know that laugh was awkward there, right? But like, that's
not an honorable championship ring. That's just
that is a champion. Like, it's
team effort.
It's not just team effort. The effort that it takes to be able to step forward and confront your abuser, right? Like, that is not a small task to handle in the slightest, and it should be said, you know, it should be made acknowledged that it is because of their constant pursuit of their justice that justice is now being
that Nadia Shitata was actually put into the position to get him. So it's like everybody on a roster gets a ring. There's too many of you for me to name, unfortunately.
Right, but all of you deserve
all of you get your championship rings.
Your recognition, your moment.
But R. Kelly was found guilty on all federal charges, including sex trafficking and racketeering, which included kidnapping, forced labor, and bribery.
And as predicted by the great philosopher Aaron McGruder,
that episode is 15 years old, and he called it perfectly.
Called it. Oh boy, did he call it, because they came out in droves from the woodwork to support even Akon, right? Akon stepped out and said that R. Kelly deserves his moment of redemption, right? Like, R. Kelly deserves to be able to redeem himself. And whereas I am somebody who believes in second chances, I think R. Kelly is I think we can all agree
he's too far gone.
R. Kelly is way past the second chance. Right.
So, let's remind everybody of how we like to separate the work of an artist versus the person of an artist.
And their moralities. Right.
So, yeah. Ignition's a banger. I Believe I Can Fly.
Chocolate Factory. Right?
But R. Kelly is a shithead.
Trapped in the Closet.
We can appreciate the work of the artist.
We can all look at R. Kelly and continue to make R. Kelly memes because he deserves to be made a joke of. There are some people who may even argue that his sentencing may, be too light, right? Like, it is the privilege of celebrity here that R. Kelly
he does face up to 100 years in prison.
There are some people who would still say that that's probably too light for somebody who is being accused of and now has been convicted of some of the things that R. Kelly has allegedly done, right? Yeah, I don't have much else to add to that.
But the last note is the charges date back decades, including from the late singer Aaliyah.
Well, she was like 14? May have even been I don't have...
A shout out to all of the women who finally got R. Kelly, and a special championship ring shout out to Nadia Shatada. So, you have a good championship ring to give out as a follow-up to that.
Yes, so following up to this, in almost direct contrast to everything that is the existence of R. Kelly.
Yeah.
The National Inventors Hall of Fame is looking to induct and has currently, by the time that you're hearing this, inducted into its Hall of Fame its first 2 black female inventors.
Woo! Progress! Championship ring! Confetti falling!
The National Inventors Hall of Fame has over 600 inductees, and we are just now in 2021 getting the first 2 female or black female inventors, right?
Now, how old is the museum itself?
So they will join the class of 2022 as well as the other 22 inductees, right? I'm not seeing how old the foundation is itself, but the 2 female inventors that are being inducted are Marian Croke, an engineer, right, who is currently working for Google. She is one of the, if not the head researcher at Google's Center for Responsible AI and Human-Centered Technology, but she also has over more than 200 patents to her name, responsible for leading the team that helped make remote working possible, a functioning system, which, to keep it current, it is one of the reasons why the world's economy didn't completely and utterly crash to shit when the COVID pandemic helped, right? So this woman, and I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, Marian Croke, is one of the people solely responsible for that, right? It was her work on the voice over internet protocol that helped advance audio capabilities and video conferencing capabilities. Right. She also worked on a team that developed a text-to-donate system that has done exorbitant amount of charity work. They raised $130,000 for the Katrina Relief Fund and over $43 million for Haitian Relief Fund after the 2010 hurricane and earthquake that hit Haiti. She is also currently working on a team that is bringing broadband to developing parts of Africa and Asia. Marian Croke, not a fucking joke. No joke at all. She is, hoping that her induction into the Hall of Fame will help inspire other women to do engineering and seek, to pursue scientific careers and things like that. And the other woman who is being inducted into the Hall of Fame is Patricia Bath, who is an ophthalmologist, right? And Bath has...
Those are the eyes.
Yeah, yes. Bath is no stranger to making history herself. She was the first female physician to receive a medical patent. She was also the first black woman physician to receive and complete residency of ophthalmology at NYU. She's also the first black woman to chair an ophthalmologist residency program at the King Drew of UCLA, right?
Right on.
So
2 very prestigious universities.
Yes. The reason why she is being inducted into the Inventors Hall of Fame, though, is because she invented laser... I looked up how to pronounce this earlier, and I totally forget. It's like laser phaco. Minimally invasive device and procedure that performs all the steps of cataract removal surgery, right? So it is because of her technique that cataract surgery is able to go as smoothly as it is today, right? Preventing tons of like blindness and stuff like that, right? The
That's incredible.
The machine that she invented performs all the steps from incision to destruction of the lens to vacuuming up of the pieces of the lens.
That's incredible.
Yes. So
she made a multi-tool for eye surgery.
Yeah. Essentially, yeah. I mean, to break it all down, right?
Optical Leatherman.
Shout out to Marian Croke and Patricia Bath on their induction into the Inventors Hall of Fame. I believe, both of them are well-deserved championship rings.
On that note, bling bling, let's take a break.
I guess it's like the bell curve on like confidence, right? Or I guess the bell curve is about confidence, though, isn't it? Like, assuming you're more confident than what you actually are.
Yeah. Like, for me, I like to say I'm the Carmelo Anthony of Magic. I used to be really hot shit, but now I still think I'm great, even though I'm pretty much just standing in the corner shooting threes.
Damn.
At 40%, though.
So, I guess my point here is like, at a certain point, confident people, like, people who are really, like, skilled at their craft get to a point where they're very, like, humble about it. And they don't brag as much as I guess they did when they were developing their skill. And I guess my point is there something to be said about vocalizing your confidence versus being confidently like secure, right? So is there a difference? Is there something to be said in the difference between vocalizing your confidence and being confidently secure? Whereas, like, there are people out there who think they are confident, or, who are confident in their capabilities and may even at times overestimate their capabilities. But those people, I feel like, tend to go further than people who are so secure in their confidence that they don't make moves. You get what I'm saying? Like,
how about we ask Sink Ugir? Thank you for the perfect setup.
Shank Uger or whatever, however
yes, for our new segment. That's Cap.
I'm on right now. I don't believe you.
So, this is Total Cap. And for those who may not know, Shank Uger hosts and is the founder of a YouTube news production called The Young Turks. Right? Which, problematic name considering he is actually Turkish. And his co-host is Armenian. So, if you don't know anything about the Armenian genocide,
Google it.
But
you should post a link to let me Google that for you right here.
I'm gonna start out by disclosing the fact that I actually like the Young Turks, and I do respect a lot of the work that Cenk and them do. I have spent a lot of like YouTube time like pointlessly watching those casts. Not so much now that I would say I was a Young Turks fan pre his run for governor, right?
Yeah.
Or Senate, whichever one he ran for, right? I wasn't banging with them when they had that weird, great debate background or whatever that, and those of you who really watch the Young Turks will know what the fuck I'm talking about, right? No, I respect them, and Hannah Cranston and Mike Idarola Anna Kasparian. Like, I really like the work that they do, right? Like, enough that you know me, I can't remember shit. I remember their names just now.
But
Jake,
you're not beating Joe Rogan in a fight. I'm sorry, dude.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. They may... Alright. So...
He said that he would beat Joe Rogan in a fight, but
Didn't
quote-unquote adults don't do that.
Didn't he put money on the shit? Didn't he put, like, money on the shit? Like... I want to say, like, he threw, like, 30,000. That might be me capping, but I could have swore that's what I saw, right? Like, okay.
I'm sorry, Jake. You're not beating Joe Rogan in a fight. The dude is trained by someone from the Gracie family.
And he's like an avid... Okay, the way Jake is into politics, like, Joe Rogan is into, like, MMA. Like, right?
As many problematic episodes of Joe Rogan there's like 5 MMA podcasts for one of those. It's really not even an exaggeration.
Joe Rogan weighs 185 pounds, right? And I'm just looking up his height now, right?
Now, Jake's whole thing was like, I'm bigger than him. I got reach.
Joe Rogan is 5'9", weighs 185 pounds, right? And is 12% body fat, according to the internet.
I'm 8 inches taller than him and 25 pounds lighter. Anybody has some good weight gain tips? Send it my way.
Eat more.
That's, alright, thanks. Genius.
So, okay, Jake weighs 260 pounds, right?
So he's got 80 pounds on him.
I don't know what his body fat percentage is. And is 5'9", right? So they are the same height. And Jake is a little bit heavier, which doesn't necessarily equal an advantage. Let's keep it a bit.
He's gonna go on the ground because Rogan is trained at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, he's gonna flip fucking Jake like a fucking pancake. And because it's 2021, this fight may actually fucking happen, right? If the money's there. Which, guess whose best friend is Dana fucking White?
You don't even know how this would go? This proposal would go
for this fight.
It'll be in the middle of, like, an interview, and one of his guests will mention it, and Joe will be like, alright, bet. Now let's keep going.
Has Jake ever been on Joe Rogan's podcast?
I wouldn't be shocked.
Probably not, right?
No, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I've said on this pod, I enjoy Joe Rogan's, like, pop culture interviews.
Yes, okay, and so, I mean, we're totally unbiased there, right? Like, both of us are Joe Rogan fans, even after the whole Ivermectin, like, COVID vaccine shit.
There's just certain things we don't want to hear Joe Rogan talk about.
Right, like, I don't want to hear him talk about, like, trans fighters and stuff like that.
No.
I don't want to hear him talk about the COVID vaccine.
But when he's interviewing with Dave Chappelle, like, I'm all in.
Yeah, I'm totally there for it when he's not platforming, like, fucking right-wing extremists and shit. Like
yeah.
that. And it's the same thing with Jake. Like, you know, Jake had, like, Jimmy Dore on his fucking show, who, I mean, Jimmy Dore is now a frequent guest on, like, Joe Rogan, I feel like, now. And has completely gone off the fucking rails. But they also, you know, the Young Turks is part of the reason why we have the intellectual right or whatever. I think Steven Crowder used to be on the fucking Young Turks, right? So we can thank Jake for that. You know what I mean?
I also feel like the Young Turks sometimes have these overcorrection perspectives.
They are firmly planted in establishing themselves as the Fox News of the left. Right? And sometimes I feel like they're a little bit too good at achieving that.
Yeah.
And they've gotten to the point where some of what they do, I feel like, could be seen as, like, left-wing propaganda. But I don't necessarily know if that...
Hot take. The Bill Burr SNL monologue. The white women watch the Young Turks.
Plowing ahead. Plowing ahead. Let's talk white women here, shall we? Let's talk white women. White women, you're amazing your accomplishments over the last few years. I got to tell you, the way white women somehow hijacked the woke movement, generals around the world should be analyzing this. Just to refresh your memory, the woke movement was supposed to be about people of color. not getting opportunities, the at-bats that they deserve, finally making that happen. And it was about that for about 8 seconds. And then somehow, white women swung their Gucci-booted feet over the fence of oppression and stuck themselves at the front of the line. I don't know how they did it. I've never heard so much complaining in my life from white women. My leg is so hurt with my SUV and my heated seats. You have no idea what it's like to be me. Trash and white guys, the nerve. Where's the camera? The nerve of you white women. Listen, I don't want to speak ill of my bitches here, okay? I don't. But let's go back in history here, okay? You guys stood by us toxic white males through centuries of our crimes against humanity. You rolled around in the blood money, and occasionally when you wanted to sneak off and hook up with a black dude, if you got caught, you said it wasn't consensual. Yeah, that's what you did. That's what you did. So why don't you shut up, sit down next to me, and take your talking to?
So you're saying those women watched the Young Turks?
Yes.
That's the Young Turks, like, viewer base or whatever? So you're saying I'm a white woman who, with my Gucci boots?
No. I'm saying the ones that are too good, the ones that fall for it when you said that
so
the Young Turks can be too good at their job.
Yeah.
The ones that buy into that.
Yeah.
Are the white women who take their Gucci-footed boots and step over the line of oppression.
Yeah, I could see that. My hot take is that I feel like it's needed because things like Fox News, like Newsmax, and One America exist.
Well, yeah, I mean, counterbalance.
Right, so, yeah, sometimes Jank and them could go a little far. It pertains to, like, the narrative that they're pushing. But when the whole purpose of your network is to counteract the, like, far extreme on the opposite side, I guess it's like a job hazard.
Yeah, I suppose. Because, I mean, you can watch some videos and you're like, do these people actually believe what they're saying?
And to bring it all back in, does Jake actually believe he could beat Joe Rogan in a fight? I'm absolutely certain he knows that was cat.
Yeah.
And that nigga was just out there peacocking for his fucking user base, right? Like, you gotta do it for the clicks, bro. Like, because now it's gone viral, and we're talking about Cenk Uygur and Joe Rogan potentially, which I would pay to watch because it would look like an old school WWF match.
Who do we want to announce Snoop Dogg?
Snoop Dogg and Willie Nelson, right?
No. I want, like, somebody who actually could do, like, a play-by-play. I want, like, Snoop Dogg...
And Shannon Sharp.
No, hold on.
Why not Shannon Sharp?
Snoop Dogg and Max Kellerman.
I knew you were gonna say Max Kellerman, and I would argue that you would replace it. Fuck, what's the other dude, the white dude with Shannon Sharp?
Skip Bayless?
Yes. Snoop Dogg and Skip Bayless. Host.
I don't want to listen to him talk about how Michael Jordan is better than Joe Rogan for a minute and a half.
You think Snoop Dogg is gonna let Skip Bayless talk about that the entire time? No, Snoop is gonna be way too interested in watching Joe Rogan flip Jake's fat ass around the fucking ring.
The Snoop Dogg Joe Rogan interview was great. To bring it all back to one of our points, like. But yeah, we put the culture in context. Like you have people who, like, everybody's hating on Joe Rogan, but it's like we call his problematic nature out, and we admit we like Joe Rogan. Like, some of Joe Rogan's stuff is great. We just don't want to hear him talk about all that other shit.
I don't even think it's necessary to admit that we like Joe Rogan, right? Like, he is the most influential figure in public, like, radio, right, in media, period, right now, right? Like, he's bigger than Fox News, he's bigger than CNN, right? He's bigger than SNL, like, all of that shit.
I think a lot of that might be recently because of the rebound effect of him being covered on Fox News.
No, even before this, Joe Rogan has bigger numbers than any of them could ever, like, hope to have.
But they've skyrocketed even more lately because of that.
Because of his Spotify deal. Once Joe Rogan hit Spotify, his numbers went through the fucking roof, right? And, like,
I didn't listen to to him until he was on Spotify.
Exactly. And the fact that Spotify even approached him to, like, acquisition his podcast is because his numbers were already through the fucking roof, right? Like, you took all the people who were, like, he's been, like, siphoning Alex Jones', like, user base for the longest time, right? Like, and now that Alex Jones is, like, out of the fucking paint, he's completely, like, replaced that shit because he's the more tolerable version of that shit. Let's keep it a fucking band, right? Like, Joe Rogan is so self-aware.
He also has the clout to get good guests like Kanye and Chappelle.
Exactly, right? Because he's already established in the entertainment industry, right? So he can do that Alex Jones shit with fucking Snoop Dogg on his podcast, with Kanye West on his podcast, with Dave Chappelle on his podcast. He can do all of that and then invite dudes like Steven fucking Crowder. What was the gay dude? No, god damn it, what the fuck was his name? He was like real big at the beginning of the Trump presidency.
Jeffree Star?
No, not fucking Jeffree Star. He was like the right-wing, like, gay dude that was all over the fucking internet in the beginning. I cannot remember his fucking name anymore. That's how fucking nuts the last, like, 4 years have been, because this dude was all over the fucking place. And of course it's me, right? So I can't remember his name, and I'll fucking message you about it later. And you'll be like, oh, that dude, right? Like,
yeah, I don't have much to go off of with, that gay dude at the beginning of the Trump presidency.
Well, there's not a lot of gay dudes on the fucking right wing. Openly gay men. There's not a lot of openly gay men on the fucking... He used to work for, like, Breitbart and shit like that.
Oh, Milo Ventimiglia.
Yeah, yes, Milo Yiannopoulos. Yes.
Milo, yeah.
Yes, you know, so, see, yes, that gay dude, right? Like, I feel like we just keep stepping closer and closer to the problematic line. Joe will go from having people like Dave Chappelle on his podcast to having people like Milo Yiannopoulos on his podcast, right? And it's like, this is the most listened to dude in the fucking country right now, right? And there's not a lot of left-wing people who come on his... I would say, Dave is probably one of the most left-wing people he's had on his podcast.
But that's because Dave and him are, like, friends.
Like, Dave, of course, everybody who loves Dave know that Dave and Joe go way back. Joe Rogan was in the first season of the Chappelle Show.
Yeah.
Right? You've got great New York boobs! Does that count as a deep cut? Is anything Chappelle does a deep cut?
I don't think so at this point.
Is Robin Hood Men in Tights a deep cut?
That one might be. Which is a fantastic movie.
Is Nutty Professor a deep cut? No, it's not Nutty. Is it Nutty Professor? Yeah, it is Nutty Professor, because Dave Chappelle is the comedian in the first Nutty Professor, right, that makes fun of him when he goes on the date with, is it Janet Jackson in the first one? No, it's Janet Jackson in, like, the third one. And, Dave Chappelle is the stand-up comedian that makes fun of him in the club, right? And then when he finally figures out the formula and becomes Buddy Love, he goes back to the nightclub where the comedian was making fun of him and completely roast the comedian, like, on stage. And, like, and that comedian was none other than David Chappelle of Joe Rogan fame.
We don't need to say he has championship, right?
Reggie Warrington. Yes. Sir David LaChapelle.
To bring it all the way back. Chank, you're not beating Joe Rogan. I'm sorry. Frick!
And it was Janet Jackson. So, as we like to do here, we don't just label ourselves, like a pop culture digest podcast. We like to play tastemaker a little bit at a time and bring you guys some of the things you may have missed. This is a flood of content anyway, and there's a lot floating currently.
And you've already watched a lot of videos on Squid Game.
And we'll talk about Squid Game in a minute. But, I mean, look, we all know how hard it is sometimes to find something to watch on Netflix that isn't already trending. Currently working on the next YouTube video, I found a list of the top 50 horror movies to watch on Netflix right now. Shout out to Vulture. We broke it down to the top 10, right? And that video should be out sometime. By the time this comes out, I'm hoping that video will be out.
Okay.
So people...
1 week from today!
People should already know. I watched Sweetheart. It was like number 8 on that list that we went through. It is directed by J.D. Dillard, starring Kiersey Clemons. It's all about, you know, a shipwreck survivor or some kind of like, you know, disaster scene happened, right? And this woman washes up on this deserted island, the lone survivor.
Spooky Castaway.
Yes, Spooky Castaway, right? This was good. J.D. Dillard's directing, the cinematography, the soundscape, all that created a really, like, immersive and stressful, like, Castaway experience, right? Like, from the get-go, the tension is ramped up as Kiersey washes up on the shore of this beach. It looks like everything has happened sudden, right? And I say that because, like, when you watch the movie, some things tend to, like, envelop, or I guess develop, excuse me. Some things tend to develop that kind of were left, like, open-ended, and that's, like, one of my only complaints about the movie, but...
Setting up for a sequel, she gets stranded again.
So there... I'm not gonna spoil that, actually, right? Because I think that this movie, after watching it, I will say that this movie is totally worth the watch, right? Because if you want a good Survivor kind of, like, movie to settle into that has monster movie elements, this movie is definitely perfect for that, right? Like, it's in the same field as The Descent.
Okay.
Like, yeah. It's like one of those kind of movies. Kiersey's acting was really good. She definitely got into character in a way that allowed me to feel like I was on this island with her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The pacing of the movie was really well, or went really well. Like, you know, they didn't lean...
So did you feel like you were on the island with her, or did you feel like you were just struggling watching her?
A little bit of both, right? Like, there were moments where I definitely was immersed in the environment that she was in, especially, like, as you are discovering that she's not alone on this island, right? Like, you get invested in her survival, and it did a good job at making me invested in wanting to see this character survive.
Okay.
Right? All the way through. It was an hour and 22 minutes long. It's not like a huge time investment, right? It's the perfect Netflix and chill kind of movie. I mean, I definitely recommend that people give this one a watch for sure. I'm gonna try and watch Velvet Buzzsaw tonight while I'm editing video. We'll see how that goes. Moving forward, though,
let's talk about the thing that everybody's
is talking about right now. Let's get into that water cooler talk. Squid Game, right? A Korean horror drama series brought to us by a Netflix, right? So it's also a Netflix original.
How are you watching it? Korean and subtitles?
No, I am totally watching this dub. Right?
Okay, so I'm watching it Korean and subtitles.
Okay. This show is about a degenerate gentleman who is in an exorbitant amount of gambling debt. Right? He's living with his mom. He's co-parenting a child who is currently, like, on her way to America with her stepdad.
With her very affluent stepdad.
Yeah, as we're introduced to him in the first episode, right? So our main character is Seong Ga-young, played by Lee Jung-jae. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong.
No, I think you're doing it alright.
And it follows our main character, Ga-young, as he is dealing with his crippling gambling. head, right? That's just the setup to this insanely batshit show, right? The premise of the show essentially follows Guy Young and to an underground gambling tournament
On a deserted island, on a remote island.
where they are made to play children's schoolyard games for money. Or their lives.
Yeah.
And
Everybody's life is worth 100 million won.
I feel like spoiler alerts here may be a little bit unnecessary because at the point
Turtle take.
at the point of you listening to this pod or watching this segment, the show will have been out for probably a month already. So this is our first reaction to it.
I have not seen the whole thing yet. I think I'm
haven't-
in
I'm
the
on-
third episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm on episode like 3 or 4 at the moment. The show to me feels like a mashup of Shameless and Dead Man Wonderland, like you say, right? Or Shameless and like Shameless meets The Hunger Games, right? For and those of you who are not anime fans, right?
To me, it felt like The Hunger Games meets Dead Man Wonderland meets A Clockwork Orange.
So the show is like shot very well, right? And
Also, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory Johnny Depp version.
the acting is really good, and of course I'm watching it dubbed. So
I'm watching it subbed.
take that for what it means.
You get both perspectives. But the acting at first I thought was like, this is a little... Before they got into the game, so I'm like, this
Yeah.
seems a little over dramatized. And then I really like got into it when the guy showed up in the subway station and he was just like so calm and stoic. And then Lee Jung's character just continued to lose the game and get slapped and slapped. The thing I thought was fascinating was at the very end, when he finally won, he didn't even think about the money. He was like, now I get to slap.
Well, yeah, because after getting slapped that many times, right, like your whole perspective on winning the game changes. But to your point, the show to me feels like an IRL anime, right? Like,
Yeah.
And I believe it is. I don't know where the source material from this comes from, but that's definitely the vibe I get from it. Like, this would easily translate into an anime.
The cinematography is, now that you mentioned that, like, very clearly something that could be done anime style.
And so much so to the fact that if you listen to the dub, I feel like they have gotten very prominent anime voice actors to do the dubbing for this, so that it feels, the translation feels natural. I'd say that even though the latest controversy as we're recording this is the show is being called out for bad Korean translation. So take that into context as you will. But other than that though, the premise of the show is very interesting. Like I said, they are being made to play this game that could potentially solve a lot of the characters, the main lineup's debt, right? That's the whole main premise of the show, and I saw another article today that said the whole plot of Squid Game is the perfect dystopian analogy for today, because yeah, that's it. We're all in like crippling debt, and we're all just seeking a way to escape that crippling debt and find the financial freedom that at this point really signifies true freedom.
And we're also so grounded, we're so numb to the chaos going around that we always find comfort in things from nostalgia. Therefore, we always think that we're going to be able to win a child's game.
Like children's games, right? And so much so to the point that I will never be able to look at kids playing red light, green light the same way ever again. Ever again.
I think IRL anime might be the perfect way to describe it.
It is an
I didn't think about the way that, but this could have huge ramifications culturally.
So taking that and moving forward, right? So let's close out by saying, if you don't know, now you know.
To watch it, just watch
Squid
it.
Game is definitely about that. So check that shit out. What I was going to say is, if this is any example of what Netflix is willing to do with its foreign properties, right? Because a lot of the expansion of Netflix hasn't just been like the studios that they're opening up here in America, right? They are doing a lot of international content. They just released a Spanish version of Too Hot to Handle, right?
Oh.
So they had Too Hot to Handle Brazil, and now they have Spanish Too Hot to Handle, right? They've got tons of Korean-centered live action sitcoms and stuff running now, right? And they've got this other anime that I'm watching that is a Filipino-based origin. So I guess what I'm saying is Netflix is not fucking around, right? So if this show is any indication of what they can do as far as like IRL animes go, I don't think that we have any real concern to worry about when it comes to Cowboy Bebop, right? As far as production value goes.
Watching Squid Game after you said that now gives me a huge sense of relief about the new upcoming Cowboy Bebop.
Right. Because like you said, like the over-the-top approach that they did in the Korean version, the Korean-spoken version that you did, makes a lot more sense when you're looking at it through the lens of, this is a live-action anime. That's something to be said, because I haven't, coming from Netflix's attempt at, like, the Death Note movie, right? Like, Netflix has come quite a long way.
They're learning.
And, yes. They are really trying to establish themselves as a serious contender as far as, like, media production goes, right? They, like, what did that article we read said, or that article about their animation studios reported that their whole goal is to take on Disney, right? They want to become the new kings of animation, and I don't think that they just mean that with animation. I think they mean that all across the board.
So the thing, I've actually in school am in a lot of math media classes. One of them, they get all jumbled together. In one of them, we had a graphic showing basically who owns what media, and so many of them are connected, and right in the middle was Netflix with not a single branch.
Really? Oh, so they are
isolated.
They are self-sustaining, right? Because that was the whole paradox of Netflix in the beginning, right? The whole pull to Netflix, which is also the complaint now, is that you used to be able to get on Netflix and watch all your favorite classic movies and stuff, right? And that was the whole pull to Netflix when they were a blockbuster contender. But they're not a blockbuster contender anymore. In fact, they are a pioneer of a whole different industry. It is because of Netflix that the streaming market is the way that it is now, right? And so much so that Disney bought up its main competitor being Hulu, right? And it's now made Hulu like a subsidiary of its own functionality in order to maintain relevancy in the market that Netflix has established. When all these other companies caught on to the trend that Netflix was establishing and realized that it wasn't going anywhere, everybody started, like, that's the whole fucking joke now, right? Like, we use streaming as a way to get away from cable. Now there's so many streaming services,
we wish
might
there was
as well
cable.
just have cable, right? But Netflix is looking to establish itself as different from that by saying, no, what we're doing over here is a whole new, not market, but like a whole new source, right? Like, Netflix is a channel. Netflix could be a channel on a cable network now, right? Like, Netflix has enough of its own series and movies and stuff like that for it to just run like a live channel on a fucking cable on Comcast. Right? Like, there could be a Netflix channel that could play Stranger Things, and sometimes it could have House of Cards marathons and shit like that.
Movie of the night. Netflix! Give us the bag!
They don't have a late night show yet. They've tried, right? Like, they
we
had...
can shit on Gutfeld.
Dude. Netflix's first late night show, The Flood with Doc, is... Come on. Somebody in the zeitgeist.
Throw it out there.
I gotta go pee. Fuck y'all. Think about it. The success of Squid Game, I guess as far as like America is concerned, is that Netflix's international content can make big waves here, right?
Yeah.
Which, aside from like, you know, Bollywood, and I guess, you know, Korea is consistently, at this point, right, you know, Korea is putting out some pretty A1 content, right? But I mean, America still ranks pretty high as far as, you know, mass media is concerned. Or
Yeah.
not mass media, but as far as movies and TV and shit like that is concerned.
By the way, everybody in our audience, I'm in all of the mass comm classes, right? This is like collegiate level discussion that you all get. Trust me, I know from experience at this point.
Just a little bit of trumpet playing, you know, just a little bit.
And it's not taps.
I mean, you are talking to this podcast is hosted by
a media and communications major.
and someone who is majoring in data science and communications. So it's like,
But it's also hilarious because I work at a pie shop.
and I'm a janitor.
Respect to janitors, y'all. They are wicked important. Protecting y'all from COVID and shit.
And some of us are working on a major in data science. So, just a little insight into some of the, you know, a little insight into the dudes here that bring you that pop culture perspective.
Yup.
Putting things into context for y'all.
So, Netflix has gotten...
So Netflix's international content, as I was saying, is definitely making an impact, as well as their, you know, national content, right? And what I'm saying is they are clearly establishing a self-sustaining environment that is future-proof, right? You know, they're trying to make sure that they are not looked at as a dinosaur in the streaming.
They are too sexy for future.
They are definitely part of the narrative around Netflix is that they have such an exorbitant amount of content and they throw money at anybody and anything that is willing to participate in this expansion that they've got going on.
You just gave me the perfect transition. Because if Netflix is willing to throw money at anybody who's willing to participate, the Philadelphia 76ers are not going to do that.
Wow, what a complete derailment. Let's talk about it.
So Ben Simmons did not report to camp. The Philadelphia 76ers did not pay him his $8.25 million that he was owed.
He's still looking to get traded, right?
Yup.
Yeah.
And Joel Embiid has been roasting him. He's like, look, I'm disappointed and you're letting down your teammates. We're definitely better with you, but our whole team has been built around you and you're not here.
So what you're saying is you understand where Joel Embiid
100%. Ben Simmons is being a giant baby.
Is he? They blame the entire loss on him.
Yeah, but if he wants to get traded, he's doing it in the worst possible way.
But
he's fine with giving up $33 million.
Because of integrity? Let's not pretend like they didn't completely slander this man throughout the entire offseason, right?
Yeah, but apparently he said 3 days after the game, he was like, get me out of here. And then
he made it known 3 days after the game.
Yeah, but making it known to the world is going to make it impossible to trade him.
That's more than 2 weeks' notice.
He's also setting himself to get further eaten alive by Philly.
That part I do agree with, right? Like, at this point, it is kind of like feeding the beast to continue to, what some people may describe as agitate the situation by not showing up to practice and shit like that.
I think that's his whole point, which is, is that a good way to go about it? Probably not.
From a business perspective, I agree with you, right? But from, a moral perspective, is it that much different than what Colin Kaepernick was doing?
Yeah!
Is it? I mean, he's trying to make a statement that, like, no, I'm not gonna, like, okay, so yes, it's not as political as what Colin Kaepernick was doing, but he's making a statement here. He's saying, I'm not gonna go for this shit. You guys blame the entire thing on me like we're not a fucking team. And now you're saying, we're a fucking team, suck it up and
The
come to
whole
practice.
team was built around him. It came down to Ben Simmons or Jimmy
Exactly.
Butler, and they chose Ben Simmons. Over Jimmy fucking Buckets.
So you're telling me it is okay so he has to take the fucking blame for the entire loss, but then continue to show up to work and fucking carry the team like some kind of mule and like fucking miss me with that. If it was you, what would you do?
Alright, so there's a lot of what you said that needs to get broken down here. For starters, the team is built around him to succeed. Like, the structure and movement of the team
Whose fault is that? That is not Ben Simmons' fault. That's the fucking coach's fault.
Ben Simmons has handled this terribly. And now he just comes across like a baby.
It reminds me of that fucking Hey Arnold episode, right? Like when you get the ball, pass it.
Tucker.
They're treating Ben Simmons like Tucker, right? Like the entire fucking city of Philadelphia. And like, I'm over here like Arnold, like, have you ever practiced using the granny shot? No, but seriously, like, what the fuck do you mean? They blame the entire... All summer they've been dogging him, and he made it known 3 days after the game that he wanted to be traded, and the entire fucking city is mad that he didn't show up to practice when he made it known 3 days after the fucking game that he was done with the entire fucking city. Like, it's wild to me that he's still in Philadelphia.
Me too.
It would be... I wouldn't be surprised if...
Don't get me wrong, the Sixers are trying to trade him.
It wouldn't surprise me if he was actually in fucking like Cancun or Tulum somewhere, and that's why he wasn't at practice, and they just kept calling him like, yo, where are you at? Like, I can't keep lying for you anymore, my nigga, she knows. Like, it's like when you tell your girl you're out with your homie, and she called him up, and he's like stalling, trying to like be like, oh, he's in the bathroom, or he's asleep, and she's like, well,
I
wake
heard
him
that
up.
entirely wrong. I know you said stalling, like waiting.
Not
I
like
heard
Joseph Stalin.
No, and then you were like, haha, he's in the bathroom.
Yeah, my point was, it's like that, right? Like, it'd be funny if it was like that, right? Like, and he's like, nah, I'm right around the corner getting a cheesesteak, haha, Philadelphia, right? Like, I'll be there in a little bit, you know? And he's actually, you know, out until I'm getting his feet rubbed while eating Kobe beef. I don't know. Anyway.
Bad wording!
Not, okay. Phrasing? Bad phrasing? Look.
He's willing to throw away $33 million for this.
What was his original contract for? Like, how much has he made at this point?
Well, I mean, he just signed a 5-year extension. That's the other thing. He signed a 5-year extension, and then after the first year's like, trade me.
Cute Jay-Z meme. Yo, I mean, okay, so... I'm still on his side, though. Like, fuck it. Like, if y'all was talking about me like that, I wouldn't come to work either. Like... So, yeah, so it's almost like AI, right? Like, not showing up to practice. Why can't the Sixers get people to show up to practice? Maybe it's because...
There's a difference between practice and training camp.
Practice? Y'all want to talk about practice? Ben Simmons is like just over there pulling his AI, right? Like, my man is like, yo, no, fuck that. Y'all find somebody else. I told y'all I wasn't coming in. He told them he wasn't coming in.
I'm sick today.
Whose fault is that?
Kyrie's not coming into work because he's not sick.
I was getting ready to say, right? Should he have just done...
Who's more untradeable, Ben Simmons or Kyrie Irving?
should he have just pulled a Kyrie at this point? And just been like, oh, I'm not coming in because I'm not vaccinated.
I don't know. Anyway, we have a couple other random pop culture ones. So some other pop culture things. For the last 72 hours, Sora has been trending, because by the time that you hear this, the new Smash DLC character will be announced, and hopefully it's not Sora.
Sora from Kingdom Hearts.
Sora from Kingdom Hearts.
For those of you who may not be in the know.
The big-ass shoes.
Kingdom Hearts is a Disney game that came out on Nintendo in
It was a Disney Square Enix collaboration that first came out on the PlayStation 2.
Oh, it was on the PlayStation?
PlayStation 2.
Dude, that's crazy. Why did I think that was a Nintendo game? Damn, PlayStation 2. Another reason why the PlayStation 2 is certifiably the best console to ever exist.
And the main reason is because it's also a PlayStation 1.
Nintendo just as powerful as Disney at this point? Acquiring all kinds of old IP.
No, more like people want their thing in Smash Brothers. It's the greatest marketing scheme that Nintendo has ever made.
So do you think it's going to be Sora?
I hope it's not.
Who do you want it to be?
Put Tony Hawk in Smash! You cowards!
Set him up for it. I should have known. I didn't even need to ask.
More realistically, I think it'd be cool to have Leon Kennedy from Resident Evil, Beautiful Joe from Beautiful Joe, but that one, he's been in Marvel vs. Capcom, so that one's a little hard.
What if it's Parappa the Rapper?
I'd be kind of alright with that, because that goes in the vein of one of my other ones, Spike from Ape Escape.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Give Donkey Kong some competition.
Paper Mario.
No, I'm not feeling it. It's like,
I think Spike from Ape Escape would be really cool. If you want to throw another couple, like, other people are like Crash Bandicoot, Master Chief, Dante, Sly Cooper. That'd be kind of cool.
Oh, yeah, I could do a Sly Cooper.
Sly Cooper, the first one, is really, really fucking hard.
I was gonna say, what if it's the dude...
and Alucard. Alucard.
What about Jack from Mad World? Like the bloodiest game Nintendo was ever introduced to.
What about Jack from Jak and Daxter? Ratchet and Clank! I feel like those have almost been played out at this point.
Yeah.
At least Ratchet and Clank has.
But yeah, Jack from Mad World would be tight, because then he could come in with that fucking chainsaw and shit, give it like a whole Evil Dead kind of vibe.
Maybe. I'm trying to think. So some other characters that have been announced. For
deep cut,
Nickelodeon All Stars, Korra and Aang have been revealed.
Oh, what about Strider?
Strider's in Marvel vs. Capcom already.
Okay. Yeah.
But then again, everything's fair game. They put the fucking Wii Fit trainer.
That's when I was like completely like done.
You're just like everything is fair game.
Yeah, like that and Mr. Game & Watch, I was like, oh, okay. So just like a black little fucking blob thing, like, yeah, no.
For all my Smash players, one of the most frustrating things is playing Game & Watch on Lilac Cruise. You all know what I mean. It's an all-black background.
Why not Shy Guy, right?
I think that's been one people have been talking about.
Instead of Mr. Game & Watch,
I think Wolf, Link, and Minda would be a really cool one.
Fucking give me fucking Boba Fett. Like, Jesus Christ.
People scream Goku, and I'm like, no. Put Batman in, I'd be like, no, he's just gonna win every game. You're gonna hit, like, special, and it's like, solve problem.
Speaking of Batman, Toonami is gonna air that Batman Ninja anime on October 16th, I believe. It was either October 16th or October 9th. So
isn't it basically Batman set in feudal Japan?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I saw like a screenshot for the Robin art, and it was wild. Robin is like semi-bald. Like, here you go. Take a look.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a traditional, like, Robin haircut, and it looks to be all the different Robins, right? Like, they got Red Hood, and it's the, fucking, reed basket helmet thing. Like, it's, so, if you've been waiting to watch that, be on the lookout for Toonami. It's gonna air super late at night.
What do you think happens on Twitter if it's another Fire Emblem character?
How many are there in Super Smash already? It's like 4.
Marth, Roy, Chrom, Lucina, Byleth, Gorin, Robin. That's 7, but I feel like I'm missing one.
Is it 7? Or is it... Yeah, I guess, yeah. So...
And there's only one Fire Emblem character I think I would be okay with them putting in. And the main reason people are so mad at Fire Emblem characters is because they're all so similar.
Well, yeah, and it feels like a cop-out at this point, right? Like, are there any Persona 5 characters in Super Smash Bros.?
Joker.
Oh. Would there be any other Persona 5 characters? That
I don't think so. Like, a lot of people have wanted Gino from Mario RPG for the longest time.
That's so weird.
While Tony Hawk would be the one that would be, like, absolute, like, I could die a happy man. But I think Leon Kennedy would be a really cool one. And Wolf Lake Minda, I think would be the other one I'd really like.
So you said there was some Nickelodeon All-Star news that was trending.
They announced Aang and Korra are now in the game. Of course, I saw this one thing trending where it was SpongeBob's taunt is him actually going like the meme.
Wow. I mean, what do we expect in a world where they have to compete with Fortnite, right? Like,
yeah.
So, I'm actually kind of surprised that Aang and Korra weren't already, or at least Aang wasn't already in Nickelodeon All-Stars.
Well, I mean, the game's not announced, so I'm pretty sure they're releasing the roster over time.
Oh, so this is a new thing, right? Like,
Yeah,
so I thought this
it's
was...
literally Super Smash Brothers with Nickelodeon characters.
This wasn't based on, like, an internet game that already existed?
Nope, it's Super Smash Brothers Nickelodeon characters.
Oh, so it's All-Star Brawl. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. And on the cover of it so far, it looks like some of the characters on the cover. Danny Phantom.
Reptar. Leonardo from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Dude, what was the fucking umbrella thing from Our Real Monsters?
I can't even remember, but they have it on there.
And the fucking Toast superhero from Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah, I'm waiting for them to just have like all of these goofy characters, and then they're like Zahir, the guy who literally killed people on Avatar.
So Toph is gonna be in it for sure.
I'm sure it's gonna be the original 4 members from the Avatar crew. They'll find some way to make Sokka useful, they always do.
So, according to HyperXGaming.com, we've got Oblina, which is the umbrella monster that we were talking about.
Cat Dog,
Danny Phantom.
Helga
from Hey Arnold. Zim from Invader Zim.
SpongeBob and Patrick. Obviously.
Okay. Powdered Toast Man is what his name was. His name was literally Powdered fucking... God damn it, Joe. Ren and Stimpy was such a fucking irreverent, off-the-wall goddamn cartoon.
April O'Neil is playable. Nigel Thornberry.
Yo, Nigel is got... If he's not OP, I'm going to be mad as shit, right? Like, Lucy Loud and Lincoln Loud. Wow, so 2 characters from the Loud House, right? Like, I feel like that's a little...
Keaton and Caligram be like the Ice Climbers.
Damn, yo, what if they throw in, like, live... So that would mean, like, Sam. Sam definitely would have to be a playable character. They can't. No.
Clarissa.
No, you didn't with fucking Clarissa just now. Oh, if not... So if Clarissa is in it, but Alex Mack isn't in it, then I'm gonna be fucking mad, right? Like...
Ned from Ned Declassified.
Fuck that, God
Ned would be like Villager. He just has like a backpack and just pulls it. Dora?
Fucking Alan Strange, the alien, do you remember that? Yeah. Come on, dog. The dude from Pete and Pete.
Pete?
No, fucking the strong...
Oh, yeah! Keaton and Kel would totally be like the Ice Climbers.
Oh, man. Okay, so going back to the list...
Do they have any of the actual Rugrats?
No, they just have So
Will they have any of the actual Rugrats?
So you can fuck a baby up with a dinosaur?
They'll be like the Rugrats all grown up.
If they have Nigel but they don't have Donnie, I'm gonna be mad.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you definitely... Oh, what about, Otto from Rocket Power?
Oh, yeah! They definitely gotta have, like, Otto.
And,
Tito!
Yes, that's who I was thinking. Tito. That's why I'm surprised. I feel like I'm having a total Mandela moment, right? Like, I feel like I totally remember that there has to have
Aquaman
been
and Barnacle Boy.
a Nickelodeon fighting game that existed.
There was one you're thinking of, PlayStation All-Stars. That had, like, Kratos and Sweet Tooth and...
No, I'm thinking this was before, like, back in early, like, internet days. Like, maybe around, like, 2000. It was definitely, like, in the early 2000s. And they had, like, an internet fighting game that had, like, Tito. But this was, like, back in, like...
It was like, I kind of remember this.
Like, fucking, what was that? This was, like, Neopets days, right? Like, when you used to go online to do shit like that, right? Like, I totally...
There was a Teen Titans fighting game for sure.
Well, yeah, no, Cartoon Network had one, and it had, like, Ben 10 and everybody and that shit in it, too.
Alright, I got my Moonshot Tony Hawk for Nickelodeon All-Stars. Ready? Coolio.
See, when you start including, like, live action shit, though, that's when the shit gets, like, sketchy. Because then they have, like, Henry Danger. That's Disney Channel, isn't it?
I mean, they wouldn't actually...
No, I think Henry Danger is, like, Nickelodeon and shit like that. Right? Yeah, and then, okay, so...
If Tony Hawk gets in Smash, Coolio can be a Nickelodeon All-Stars.
If Keenan and Kel are in Smash, then you have to include... Or if Keenan and Kel are in Nickelodeon R-Star Brawl, then you have to include Drake and Josh, right? Like, because there has...
Yeah. Yep.
Keenan and Kel or Drake and Josh?
Keenan and Kel.
Because you just said that because you want to keep your invitation to the cookout.
No, I definitely think Keenan and Kel are funnier than Drake and Josh.
Well, I mean, Keenan is literally
Keenan is scheming.
Keenan is literally writing for SNL right now, and Drake is facing, like, sexual harassment charges and shit like that, right? So, yeah, Cat Dog, Danny Phantom, Helga Invader Zim, Powder Toast Man, Reptar, Patrick Star, Sandy Cheeks, SpongeBob SquarePants, Leonardo, Michelangelo, April O'Neil, Lincoln Loud, Lucy Loud, Nigel Thornberry, and Oblino.
I'm waiting for actual Arnold and Gerald to be announced. Also, Rocco.
I think it's wild that they have Quail Man.
Boom!
I think it's wild that they have Oblina and not Ickis. Yes, we definitely need Quail Man, and I feel like if we have Quail Man, then we need Roger Klotz, right? Like,
but we also need Rocco, Jimmy Neutron,
and what the fuck is the superhero from Rocco? God damn it,
the Crimson Chin.
Yes, we definitely.
That's from Fairly Odd Parents, but the Crimson Chin.
Wandissimo.
Yes!
If we have the Crimson Chin, then you need fucking Jorgen, right? How could you have the Crimson Chin and not Jorgen?
Fire Lord Ozai.
We definitely need Timmy's dad and Dinkelberg, so we can finally make that happen. What are some other epic Nickelodeon beefs that you could think of?
They could do it where it's like Pokemon Trainer style, where you could switch out, and it's the All That cast.
Wow. So what are some other cartoon beefs that you would like to see settled in a fighting game?
Whew, cartoon beefs. Well, we get this.
Not Peter and the chicken, right? Like,
no, that's so played out.
Thank you.
That's so played out. I want to see Mandark and Dexter fight.
In their mechs? Because they both had mechs, remember that?
No, once the one gets to their half-point bar and they're like, no, my final form! And then they do the little animation like it's Marvel vs. Capcom super move. Go, Dexter, finally go! And then they get into the mechs.
Dial M for monkey. I immediately thought about Stink Meaner versus Grandpa, but that was
happened. That happened.
That was settled. Grandpa won.
I got one. What's the name of the blonde guy from Venture Brothers, voiced by Patrick Warburton, with the knife who kills everybody?
Oh, Brock versus Black Dynamite?
No.
Oh.
Brock versus David Bowie. Because you remember, the real main villain of Venture Brothers is David Bowie.
No, but I'm thinking Brock versus Black Dynamite, right? So I'm going with that one, right? Because the internet proposed that one a long time ago, and I totally think that as much of a badass as we can all agree Brock Sampson is, Black Dynamite is that nigga, yo. Come on, like, this man literally thrusted his way through the ocean. Brock Sampson could never. Black Dynamite jumped out his apartment window, fucking dick swinging into a helicopter. Right? Come on. That energy could never be matched.
Timmy Turner's parents versus the internet.
I was gonna say Samurai Jack versus Afro Samurai, but
Pretty sure Afro gets washed.
wow. You think the #1 headband, Afro Samurai literally fought death with 6 shooters with 1 sword.
Jack's fought death hundreds of times.
Oh my god, you think Akuma is going to last?
Akuma? Aku?
I mean,
Aku is
Aku.
literally pure evil that couldn't be killed by the gods! Also, he jumped good.
That's what you're gonna...
He doesn't fly, but he jumped good.
No, I feel like Jack is getting washed by Afro's best friend. The dude with the bear head and the 2 swords. Like, yeah, he doesn't even make it past that dude.
I just want to do this stupid Naruto Goku just so everybody can shut up. I just want to get all of the, like, versus Gokus out of the way. Can we just do that as a mini-series? X vs. Goku?
I feel like somebody is working on that now, right?
We probably called it.
At this point. And at this point, I think it's worth taking a
Break!
We're in the last half of the show. It's not even the last half of the show.
So I want to give out a shout out to @Nick's Kai Season, that's SVN,
On Twitter.
For having the trash ass take that you did. Oh my lord. This is one of those things I saw on Twitter that was so egregious, I immediately sent it to Doc, and I said, we must roast this man.
Had to bring it to the pod, to the round table. Literally the round table, for those of you who can't.
So, his list, I'm gonna go from 10 up. Top 10 artists of all time.
So there's no clear defining like explanation of what he means by artist.
Nope, just top 10 artists.
But we will, as you will hear in a moment,
at first, I will give you the first one, and you'll be like, oh, okay, this is that kind of list we're doing. Then I'm gonna give you the 9th, and you're gonna say, what the fuck?
So right after the first one, right?
So number 10.
Number 10.
He has Travis Scott. Now, I'm like, okay, so this is probably a younger dude.
Yeah, immediately a Zoomer, right?
Yeah,
and
like...
no offense to the Zoomers out
I
there.
would get a Zoomer top 10 GOAT list being like
who
that.
may listen, right? But I will also say that the Zoomers have a tendency to be short-sighted. Yes. I will say that, you know, no disrespect to y'all, but the Zoomers tend to be short-sighted.
Yeah.
As far as their lists are concerned. You niggas did not even remember who Missy Elliott was. I would never.
By the way,
let you
Super Bowl
all
halftime
visit
show.
that.
You saw the lineup?
No.
Super Bowl halftime show is Snoop Dogg,
Okay.
Eminem,
Okay.
Mary J. Blige,
Okay.
Dr. Dre,
What? What? I guess they got tired.
Hold on, let me look it up real quick.
I guess they got tired of the Super Bowl being boring, huh? I guess they wanted to bring a little heat to the Super Bowl this year. They missed it.
Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Eminem.
Yeah.
Mary J. Blige.
Yeah.
And Kendrick Lamar.
What? What? Oh, K-Dot himself, Kung Fu Kenny, gonna be touching down on the Oh, Kung Fu Kenny himself is gonna be touching down on the 9-yard line, huh?
Yep.
Damn. Well, color me flabbergasted.
Sounds like we'll be watching the Super Bowl.
Do you think they'll bring out Colin Kaepernick as a special halftime guest?
No, I'm pretty sure Tom Brady's gonna win it though.
Wow.
It's usually a safe bet.
Wow, so you think it's gonna be Brady and what are the standings looking like?
I don't know, but I'm just willing to bet Brady's gonna make it to the Super Bowl. Pretty much blindly.
Wow. I mean, well, that lineup is looking pretty stacked. That's gonna, so it's probably safe to say without looking that the Super Bowl's viewership numbers have been down the last couple of years.
That Super Bowl halftime show lineup is still better than this trash ass list.
But bringing it back to this trash ass list.
So, number 9, Vincent Van Gogh.
So the fact that this list went from Travis Scott to Vincent Van Gogh lets me know that there are no actual metrics to this list, which also lets me know not to invest any emotional energy into this list.
Nope. And this is why we wanted to roast this list. For starters, Vincent Van Gogh, yes, is a fantastic artist.
So is Travis Scott, right? It cannot be understated the impact that his production has made.
However, when it also comes to a GOAT list, you need to have longevity, and Travis has to do it a little longer.
I'm sure there are some, die-hard Travis Scott fans that will argue to the death about that, but I am not one of them. Continue.
Number 8, Kendrick
Lamar
is over Vincent Van Gogh right now.
Pulitzer Prize winning
Kendrick Lamar.
Thank you. Put some respect on Kendrick Lamar.
You know I put respect on Kendrick's name.
let's make it be known that Pulitzer Prize winning Kendrick Lamar will be performing at the Super Bowl this year.
Yep.
Okay.
Number
7.
Number 6.
6.
Picasso.
Okay, so Kendrick Lamar at the same list as Picasso doesn't feel bad. Travis Scott up there feels a little wild, but hey.
Number 5. Kid Cudi.
So, I might take a little bit of flack for this. So I'm gonna preface this by saying that I will give Kid Cudi full-on credit for starting the emo rap trend, right?
What about the suicide rates?
For for popularizing the emo rap trend, right? Day and night, the lonely stoner shit. I will, so no Kid Cudi, no Lil Uzi.
So number 5 on this list, Leonardo Da Vinci. Name me 3 Leonardo Da Vinci pieces of art.
The Last Supper, the Mona Lisa, Submarines.
You would recognize the other one. It's the Vitruvian Man.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay, so that's in the same line as, his submarines, though, because, even though that gets counted as a piece of art, it was really just him drawing, the human form and, the anatomy of the human form. That's more of an anatomy piece than it really is, a piece of art.
Oh, I haven't told you any of my qualms with this list yet. I'm just reading it.
No, so that's not a qualm with list. Like, that's like just you. Like, when you said name 3 works of art from Da Vinci, I'm like, well, I mean, Da Vinci wasn't just an artist.
Oh yeah, no, I totally understand. Like, the reason the Mona Lisa is so famed is not because of the smile, it's because of how well structured the hands are.
No, it's because it was stolen.
Alright, at number 4, Frank Ocean.
I'm also getting r/I'm 14 and this is deep from this list.
I'm not done.
I mean, Frank Ocean is deep, but like... Okay.
Number 3, Michelangelo.
So this list keeps bouncing back from like music entertainers to like painters, and I don't know how I feel about it. Like, okay, so one of the things I mentioned when we talked about this before was...
Wait. We'll get through the list.
Okay.
Because that's a lot of the problems I have with it. Number 2, Playboy Cardi.
What the fuck? Really? Playboy Cardi, though? Okay, so... Once again, huge fan. Love the work. Shout out to the guy. Hope he's living his best life. Of all time, though?
And number 1, they have Kanye.
Well, that's just facts. I mean... Are you saying it's wrong? Like, I don't understand why...
I'm doing my Clarence Thomas right now and not saying a goddamn thing.
I don't understand why you would insinuate that was wrong. Like, isn't it obvious? Everybody knows that Kanye was the greatest artist of all. That's how he was able to beat Drake in the great, mixtape wars of 2020 that was so sick it started the pandemic that shut down the economy, right? Like, it's because of Kanye that we were able to get music that was so ill that it started a worldwide crisis that sparked World War III. And
you remember that part that I was saying where people talking about things that they don't even believe? Right here.
What do you mean? Like, it's because of Kanye that the founding... Everybody knows that at the round table that Sir Arthur built, it was Kanye, George Washington, Jesus, Buddha, and Moses. Right?
You have 5 more to go,
and it was right.
5 more.
It was right then and there.
5 more nights.
Oh, at the round table? Yep. No, because it was at those 5 nights: Dylon, and Dylon, right?
You just did 7 nights at the round table, and you forgot the other 5.
No, it's Dylon, right? So it was then that they wrote the Bible the same night that they came up with the Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Independence, because Kanye is a prolific genius and Drake could never. So that's how America was born, and we use the bald eagle to represent that.
He is a bald eagle because it's a nice way to represent Joe Rogan, who was not at the round table but had an honorable mention.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway.
That's as trash as this list was, Joe. Like, that's how trash this fucking list is.
Alright, so let's talk about, there's no directors. You literally go from old painters, like a 600-year gap, to the 2010s and on.
Talk about it.
You completely, musically, disregard every other genre outside of hip-hop. You forget even fucking Prince! You twat bag!
Prince, Beyonce, Michael Jackson,
David Bowie,
James Brown. Like, if we're just talking about musical artists,
yeah.
right? Like, Stevie Wonder, fucking Don't even get me
Led
started.
Zeppelin.
Like, Grandmaster Flash.
The Strokes!
Like, some of the progenitors and, like, some of the creators of these, like, Chuck Berry, like, you know, people who really, like, established these art forms, right, that they're even including in these lists. No Basquiat, dude, no poets, no Langston Hughes.
Nope. No writers.
No Maya Angelou, no F. Scott Fitzgerald, like, none of that, right? No Stan Lee, no Jack Kirby.
No comedians.
No Richard Pryor.
No actors.
No. None of that. No, like you said, no directors, no Spike Lee, no James Cameron, no... Like,
Quentin Tarantino.
No Quentin Tarantino.
No David Fincher.
Whose movies are, like, literally, like, one of the things I love about, like, a Quentin Tarantino or, like, a Christopher Nolan, like, their movies are, like, Christopher Nolan movies are literally, like, dreams, right? Like, they are, like, but that's, like, to his, and Quentin Tarantino's movies are, like, paintings, right? Like, all of Quentin Tarantino's movies are, like, is it Norman Rockwell who did the diner painting?
Yes.
Yes. All of Quentin Tarantino's movies to me are like Norman Rockwell. Right? Like, in the most Pulp Fiction-y kind of way. Right? Like...
I see Tarantino coming across like, Roy Lichtenstein, who did basically all of the classic comic pieces with, like, the dots.
Okay, yeah. So, like Roy,
Tarantino is classic, he's trained in classic Americana.
So, yeah, Roy Lichtenstein meets a Norman Rockwell painting, right? Yeah. That would, I feel like that's the perfect way to describe a Quentin Tarantino, right? Like, it's...
With a lot of blood.
It's pulp noir in a spaghetti western, right? Like...
Yeah.
So, that's just to say that the fact that Quentin Tarantino didn't make this list is completely, like... off the... yeah.
We'll just go back and forth. Try not to overthink it, but egregiously missed over.
Okay, so, no, like, I'm getting into the fact that, right, like, Quentin Tarantino is and has even admitted to the fact that, like, a lot of his plagiarizing isn't the right word, but, like, Quentin Tarantino borrows a lot of the best aspects of his work are borrowed from directors that he idolizes, right? Like, you know, there are bits and pieces of his movies that are, like, shot-for-shot remakes of some of...
The Akira motorcycle slide.
Exactly. Right? Yes. Yeah. There was no,
No Mark Twain. No Bowie. No Prince. No Dave Grohl. No Langston Hughes. No Alfred Hitchcock.
No Hayao Miyazaki.
No Hayao Miyazaki.
No, who's behind, Dragon Ball Z?
No Akira Toriyama.
Yeah, like, exactly. Like, that list was entirely disrespectful. And that's why I said it seemed like something a Zoomer came up with.
Even worse?
No disrespect to
Even worse. Knicks fan.
It was a Knicks fan?
Yep.
So that does seem like...
They tweeted back, "This is a joke list. I thought Playboy Cardi and Da Vinci in the same list would give that away."
Obviously, right? Like, that's... so we're taking this list seriously for comedic purposes, but, like, this obviously has to be, like, a joke list. And it's obviously a list the Zoomer came up with as a joke, right? That's kind of what my entire point in saying it was a Zoomer list was. Like, they clearly made it to be contrarian and to piss people.
I tweeted back that this reminds me of the bar scene from Good Will Hunting. And I sent that to you, and at first you didn't get it. And then I explained it, and you're like, "Oh, I totally fucking get it."
Yeah, because it does feel like I said, I'm 14 and this is deep, right? But as made evident by the amount of, like, clear backlash that he was faced with, this list is pure trolling at its finest. And it's clear to, when you bounce from Travis Scott to fucking Playboy Cardi to Leonardo Da Vinci to Michelangelo, and then you round all that out with Kanye.
I think it's most problematic he put Kendrick below Kid Cudi, but that's just me.
I think it's a pure example that
None of this is normal.
not a goddamn bit of it.
Keep your death threats to 140 characters or less. Or check out Token MTG in Edgewater. Just had their grand opening. You tell them the Flood sent you, and you'll get a free pack of Flesh and Blood, or Yu-Gi-Oh, or Magic the Gathering, or Pokemon with your purchase. And we're going to be having a promo code for them soon. Help us get that back.
You guys know where to find us. Check us out on all the socials at The Flood Pod, at Signature Do on Twitter, at Signature Do on Instagram, at Signature Doc on Twitter.
At Ziggy Starscream on literally everything. If you guys wanted to play a game of Teamfight Tactics with us, you can add us at The Flood Pod.
There you go. Check us out. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode. We appreciate y'all, and be safe out there.
Deuces!
Look, it's a flood.
Flood.
It's flooding.
Get away.
Quick, we need to get to higher ground.
Open the floodgates.